the Big Three and me. I'm your host, Akil Patterson of the Big Three. We have Brad Phillips of the Major League Baseball. We're not going to say a team because obviously during any controversy, I always leave out the teams that they did or may have paid for, even though he did have a great season at one point where he had about an 883 batting average on one of the minor leagues. But I mean, I just wanted to say, we are here at the Big Three and Me to talk about three essential things. We talk about crypto, we talk about culture, and we talk about competition. The reason why we do those big three is because we believe that those three will lead you to a better life or maybe just a great day. So, Brett, welcome to the Big Three and Me. How you doing, my brother?
Akil, I appreciate you having me on, man. I've been looking forward to this. I'm doing great. And I mean, if anytime we're talking about competition, culture, crypto, NFTs, whatever I have a passion for, I'm always excited. So thank you for having me on.
Awesome. So let's start with culture, because I always think that that's where people come from. And so give us a little background. I mean, I know, you're drafted out of high school.
Yes, sir.
And as a man that's drafted out of high school, you are thrown into a new world quite quickly. You go from, playing on your high school baseball team to potentially traveling the country overnight. So talk about how you prepared yourself for coming out of high school, being a being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And being submerged in a new world that has agents and travel and roommates and just talk about it a little.
Oh man, like you said, things literally changed overnight for me. Being 18 years old, 5 days before my 18th birthday, I get drafted. And like you said, I went from my mom doing my own laundry to me having to take control over my career and be a grown man essentially. And when I got drafted, things changed drastically for the best. When you make that decision out of high school, there's a lot of factors that go in with the signing bonus. Am I mature enough mentally? Am I mature enough physically? All things that I had to sit down with my family and go over. And luckily, my mom and my dad raised me in an independent way to prepare me for that next level. And I am just so blessed to have been given the opportunity to make that decision, whether I wanted to go play Division I baseball at NC State or take the 6th round offer for the Houston Astros. And I'm glad in 2012, I took that route to be a professional baseball player. I've been a professional baseball player now for the last 10 years, giving the opportunity to play around the world. I've played in Japan. I've played in Venezuela. And obviously in the big leagues, I've played in the World Series. So professional baseball has just given me so many friendships and relationships, but also given me an opportunity to see different cultures, to visit different countries, to see how people are living in different areas, and to mold me in a way that I can appreciate just not only playing baseball at a bigger level, but appreciate what I've been given. When I played in Venezuela and people didn't have running water, or it was freezing cold, or, people weren't given things that I was given over here in Florida in the United States. I take a step back and it just, again, I appreciate things a lot more. So with that being said, professional baseball I've just been so blessed.
So you're using the word blessed. So you're
Yes.
out of Seminole High School in Seminole, Florida. So you're down the street from the school that I can't mention by name, but they do a tomahawk chop, but we don't talk about them because guess what? I'm a Terp. So, I know we're not in the same. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So what was it like growing up as a kid down the street from a place that's that impactful? You know what I mean? In terms of
college? For me, living in Pinellas County, you've got the three major universities, University of Florida, Florida State, and Miami. You've got them all around. So growing up, I always wanted to pursue a baseball career and a educational career at one of those schools. unfortunately, I was never good enough in high school. I was only given one college scholarship my junior year, and that was from NC State. And I give all my love and appreciation to NC State for giving me that opportunity. But growing up in Florida, having big Division I schools to root for, whether it was football or baseball or any other sport, you know how it is. College sports are the best, and I really enjoyed growing up and rooting on. For me, University of Florida, the Gators was my school. So there was you being a Terps fan, that was ACC, right?
Yeah. When I was there, yeah.
Yeah. So no, I was more of an SEC fan.
Okay. Well, you see, we don't hold that against it, but the Florida Gators, when I played them, they had what was his name? Anyway, he threw a lot of touchdowns on us, so it doesn't matter.
Tim Tebow?
It wasn't Tebow. It was the one before that.
I know. Yeah.
Rex Grossman?
No, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I graduated in 2000, so I'm like.
You're dating yourself.
I'm 10 years older than you, so I always tell people, I'm like, oh man. So you come out of high school, you come out of a kind of this hey, get right, because you're around you're around baseball all the time. I mean, spring trainings are down there, so you probably had a chance to get down to those as a kid. Did those impact you growing up, like being able to be like, hey, I'm gonna go check out the major leagues before they are on television?
Yeah, you know what's crazy, Akil, is I grew up 20 minutes from Tropicana Field. The Tampa Bay Rays. It's the team I play for now. And, I looked up to these guys, right? Carlos Pena, Carl Crawford, Melvin Upton. He went by BJ Upton back then. But these were guys when I was growing up, I wanted to be, being a kid who was pursuing baseball. And, now that I've been given the opportunity to play for my hometown team and have that dream come true, for me, I would be doing a disservice to not only the people around me, but also the kids coming up, the next generation, to not share my passion, to not share, hey, kids, like your dreams, they can come true. If you continue to keep working hard, take care of your grades, be a good person, things that the information I was given as a kid to get to where I'm at, if I could pass that down to the next generation. I don't think we do enough of that as professional athletes. And I don't think I recognize things that need to be done. Like, we need to show attention more to the fans. We need to sign more. We need to sign more autographs, because I remember as a kid, and I know I can say 95% of the rest of the league can say when they were a kid, if they showed up to not only NFL, NHL, NBA, or MLB game, that kid wanted an autograph. It didn't matter if it was the man on the bench or the star player. Like, they just wanted to be shown attention. And so now that I've been given that opportunity, I remember that, and I'm like, I'm going to take at least 10 minutes a day to sign. I do that every game at home. I take 10 minutes to sign. But these are little things that as a kid, I recognized wasn't necessarily going on. So I have a responsibility now as a Major League Baseball player to give back and to do that. So to your point, yes, I did go to spring training games, and I looked up to these guys. And now that I am, again, just so blessed, Akil.
You turn right back and get around and do that same to them. So your lovely bride is a baseball woman too. Meaning that, she grew up around this.
Yeah.
Is it kind of cool now that you're like, oh, good, I'm committed to my partner in life, who not only stands me as a human, but also is like, understands that I'm on the road. It's baseball season, and they understand the grind and the fact that they have to hop on a plane sometimes to see you. Yeah. Those sort of things. How great is it to know that you got somebody strong next to you, holding you up?
Oh man, I cannot speak enough about my wife, Bree. Like you said, her father, Trey Hillman, who's been in the game for 30 plus years. She has been the backbone of this family. She's the calmness to my storm. like you said, understanding like I'm going to be on the road for a 7-game set. And I know that she's going to not only hold things down back at the house and take care of business, but she's not going to be down my throat and be like, why are you gone all the time? Like she understands the level of commitment it takes to be a professional athlete. And she also has her own dreams and aspirations. And it's always been supporting each other through those, regardless, and knowing that at the end of the night, we can come together, talk about our day and just love on each other, but know that, hey, throughout the day, we've got work that needs to be done. So again, I can't speak enough about my wife. It's just an amazing lady, and also her family. Shout out to the Hillmans for raising her in a way that she understands this life, because it's not easy, Akil. You know, it really isn't. And I give all those wives out there of professional athletes credit for, you know, just putting up with us, because it's a lot.
And the coach's wife,
yes.
I as an international Olympic wrestler myself, at times I used to be like, you know, I'd see my coach and then I'd see my coach's wife not far from him, carrying all the other stuff, getting ready for
yes.
Like, I'm like with 2 babies in one arms. I'm like, how is this woman doing it? So you do give shout out to the coaches, wives, players.
Yes.
Wives,
all the credit
that endure it. So I want to get to, let's get one more part of culture real quick for you.
Yeah.
Because you identify as a Christian, and I always will give people the opportunity to, you know, kind of like, you know, preach a little bit about where they're at on journeys, because I think it's important, you know, rather you have faith or no faith at all, or spirituality at all. I think you should, you know, be able to talk about it wherever you go, because it's part of you. It's part of your destiny. I always tell people, I was like, you know, my father might have ate dinner with Malcolm X, but, you know, they raised me as a Christian myself. So I get to have that relationship to understand different dynamics. And so knowing that about you, I think it's kind of cool that you're like, hey, here it is. Here's my faith. Let's talk about it. You know? Yeah.
You know, what you see is what you get. I am a God-fearing man who accepted Christ into my life super early in the 7th grade. And again, I had some great mentors and just people who lived out a Christian life. When I was younger, I could recognize what that looked like. And for me, that's what I wanted for my life. And not only for my life, to pour into my kids when they come around as well. And what's that look like, being a Christian man? Well, it's simple. It comes down to just loving and respecting your neighbor. And regardless of who they are, what they do, it does not matter. All we are called to do is to love and to respect. And that is just the essentially the whole Christianity as a whole. And I know a lot of people kind of get turned off from Christianity and trying to force their religion on people. I am not going to be that kind of person. I do not think that is how a Christian should act. For me, again, it's just loving and respecting. And I've seen God show up in my life more times than not, and all the glory to him through all the awesome accomplishments and where I'm at today. Again, I wouldn't be the person I am. And I like to think that if you ask anyone about Brett Phillips, they would say, man, that dude, he treats people with love and respect. And that's how I think we should value everyone in today's age. We give credit to people who, what they have or what they do for a living, how much money they make. I feel like we give way too much credit to those kind of people, as opposed to, okay, let's see who they are as a person. Let's value people more on how they treat others or they treat ourselves. And that's what I just try and uphold. As a man of integrity, a God-fearing man, I never want someone to say that I disrespected them in any way, or that I didn't treat them any way than just with respect. So again, that is the foundation of my life, being a Christian man, and how I want to continue to live and also pour into people around me.
I'm going to say this right now. The joy that you spew just from like being on camera, that energy, the positiveness, I think that's part of it too. That's the benefit. It's like, okay, something bad could happen. It's like, but that's okay. We'll figure this out and we'll work through it together and we'll smile and we have faith that it's going to get done. Right.
Amen. And my mom always said there's two types of people. There's energy givers and there's energy takers. For me, I'm going to give energy. I'm going to love and just pour. And I challenge everyone who listens to this. Don't take someone's energy and be that, like, don't drain them. You know what I mean? Like, take that energy and then go give it to someone else because someone gave it to you. And that's what I'm trying. That's all I want, to just give energy and give energy.
That is amazing. All right, let's shift a little bit to competition. Competition. The last 2 years have been absolutely chaotic for not only people's lives, but for sports. And I know that with baseball, I was talking to a young man maybe 7 or 8 months ago who said the minor league baseball leagues got decimated during COVID. People were making, again, some of those guys out there on the road are making $800.
Yeah.
They're sleeping in hotel rooms. They're eating those styrofoam meals in a box, and
yep, it's
tough. It was really tough. So, how has the last 2 years really played on the psyche of the baseball player? Because I'm a realist, right? After working with all the sports leagues, baseball is one of the most mentally draining things that you can do because it's 175 all over the country.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I think people have this perception that every professional baseball player out there, regardless if they're in the minor leagues or in the big leagues, they're making millions of dollars. And that's not the case. I've heard people say that minor league baseball players are just glorified interns. You look at the numbers that what they're getting paid. And again, this is the dream that these are kind of the things that you sacrifice to become a Major League Baseball player. So in any way, I'm not defending how much guys are getting paid or anything like that. I will say it is a grind, and most minor league baseball players are not going to make it to the big leagues. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's very small. It's a very small percent. But while they're playing professional baseball, they are not getting treated in a way that you would think they're getting treated. Again, I read that at a minor league stadium, the guy who is, is a vendor, is like passing or selling hot dogs and sodas, making more money than the first baseman on the field. So minor league baseball does not have a union to kind of support their players and to advocate for their players to make more money. Now, with that being said, through COVID, some situations have been taken care of. Now, recently, Major League Baseball has stepped up to pay for minor leaguers' housing, which is huge. So if you're making $800 a month, half that money doesn't have to go to a mortgage where you don't even live full time. Most guys are 4 or 5 players in a 2-bedroom apartment again, for the dream. And I was one of those guys. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's the sacrifices. It's a part of the grind, but it is tough. And as a person who doesn't know this may have a perception that, oh, they all have tons of money. What are they complaining about? So I'm always trying to stick to the facts. And at the same time, I agree. This is the route I've chosen. But at the same time, we can bring awareness to what's going on if you want to listen and hear about it. If not, no worries. I totally understand. But with COVID, it has taken a hit to minor league baseball, and it's unfortunate. I think 80 minor league teams got shut down in the past year and a half. And going through the minor leagues was some of the best times of my life. It's really sad that we have taken that many teams have taken a hit to where guys now will not, a lot of guys won't have the opportunity to further their dream to become a Major League Baseball player. So again, it's all a part of it. I know that is just one of many things that's going on with the COVID situation. And, you know, I just want to encourage everyone, regardless of what you're going through, just keep your head up and keep being a good person through it all and just keep grinding. And I pray that things will work out, but that's just the reality of it. And I don't really know.
Yeah. Here's something for you now, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, COVID's happening, you know, there's a lot of things up in the air, a lot of balls being juggled around, but you get your call up and you get traded and your first hit in a World Series. I mean, what's that feel like when you're like, I got to walk off?
Man, so earlier in the conversation when I said I've seen God show up for me more times than not, that was one of those moments that was for me, was all God. I had one at bat in the World Series and something happened that hasn't happened in the last 30 years. It was a walk-off hit in the World Series. And like you said, a month and a half prior, before I got traded over to Tampa Bay, I was with Kansas City. I wasn't even playing, right? Like how I got traded over to Tampa Bay, I'll never understand. How are you going to trade for a guy that's not even playing and expect him to help, right? Like things like this don't happen just, oh, it's a coincidence. I cannot sit here and say that's a coincidence. And that's a whole nother story on how I got to the World Series and kind of the signs that I was seeing. But again, Akil, things like this can happen. And let my story kind of encourage you that if you're in a place where you're kind of down on your luck, just, man, I would just encourage you to give energy through that. As hard as it is, whatever you're going through, find a way to bless someone else, because it all for me comes full circle, and it has for me. Like, why can't it for you? So
it's like the 10% seed, you know,
yes.
Like here's that little seed that you pour into somebody else, and then you'll receive those benefits. And it's not because you asked for them. Honestly, last night I was watching, if you ever get a chance, something Lilies. Oh my goodness. It's a Sidney Poitier movie. It was a Sidney Poitier movie because I was feeling, Sidney Poitier passed away. But he in the movie he wins an Oscar for in 1963 or something along those lines is this movie where his car breaks down with a group of nuns, and he has to build a chapel for the nuns.
No way.
And that's the moral of the story, is that this guy, like, he tries his darndest to get out of everything. He's like, I'm not staying here. I'm not building this chapel. And every time he turns around, he ends up back building this chapel. And at the end, he gets a job offer. He gets, an opportunity to be a foreman. It's like stuff that wouldn't have come if it wouldn't have been for somebody pouring back into him. So he poured what he had, and he received more in return. And I think that's kind of like, that's how sports is, at least for me. It's, you pour a lot into this and you may not get as much back, but you leave with more than you thought you would. Like you said, your relationships, your friendships, your partnerships, everything just kind of grows because you just poured into the sport all that you had. And then in return, it gave you a lifetime of moments and friendships, right?
I love that. And stories like this I know that was a movie, but stories like this are happening every single day. And I wish we could hear them more, because people will, and I hear this all the time. Oh, Brett, like, I tried being the nice person. It didn't work out for me. And it's like, no, it's a process. I understand that you're going through a tough time, and a lot of my best friends, they come over daily who are not going through, they're not going through a good time right now, but we continue to build each other up and encourage each other to hopefully get to a place where you can live a prosperous life. And if not, keep going, keep being a good person, keep lifting someone up. And it's just the way you hear these stories that you finally get to a place where you are starting to see the fruits of your labor. So yeah, that's really cool. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. All right. So we've got walk-off home runs. You've even gotten a pitch in a game. I mean, you've had like for an outfielder, I was thinking like, what? He's an outfielder, he's pitching, he's hitting home runs. I'm like, this is wild.
This is too much. It's wild, right?
Like,
it's wild.
And it's all within the last 2 years too, that it's just like, can you just even talk about like, I mean, because it's not the same. And you even set a statistical record from a throw from the outfield to the home plate going 104 miles an hour to get a guy out. I mean, these are not normal things, sir. These are not normal things. And even if like you're not a baseball fan, just say, no, this isn't 1912. This isn't like you get to go from outfield to second base. You know, there's only 10 guys on the team, and the coach is also, you know, your backup pitcher.
Oh man. And again, yeah, it's just weird things. I want to bring this up because you're bringing up other things. This past season, I broke another record that has been around for 100 years. It was Babe Ruth's record. And it was 3 grand. He hit 3 grand slams in a matter of 32 days. And I hit 3 grand slams in 19 days this past season. And it's like, what, like Brett Phillips and Babe Ruth, like when they asked me about it, I was like, take my name out of that. Like that's Babe Ruth's record. Like, can I not see what God is doing in my life and not give him all the glory from being, I'm a fifth outfielder for the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not even starter. I'm just a guy that, you know, hey, fills in. Obviously I like to think that one day I'll be an all-star. I'm confident, but right now I accept the role that I'm in. Know who you are, accept it, and be 100% until you level up. And that, and things like this are just continuing to happen. And if they don't continue to happen, that's okay, man. I've been so blessed, and I'm just so appreciative of everything that I'll go on into my next life, whatever it may be doing. And I'm going to give the same energy and 100% that I did to baseball, because why can I not?
You are a renaissance man on the field right now. That is what they would call you. They would call you a renaissance man of the field. I mean, there are very few players that can go from outfield, pitcher, you know, designated hitter, wherever
the bench.
The bench. Trust me, I know more about the bench. I kept them very warm.
That's me. I'm the best bench warmer cheerleader we got.
Well, I guess, but that's also part of having to stay positive. And so let's transition into the last thing, because positivity is what crypto is all about, at least in my book. So you have now gone down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
As I call it like, Alice, or through the looking glass, whatever you want to say. You went down the rabbit hole of NFTs and cryptocurrencies. How did you end up down the rabbit hole? Were you like gaming with some of your buddies, or you were man. Or was it just like, these are cool? Next thing you know, you got 3 CryptoPunks or X-Punks.
Yeah.
X-Punks,
so I'm glad you brought up the gaming aspect. And I know people who are listening are like, why are you doing this? Well, it's a passion. I have a passion for video games. I am a video game nerd. I've been on Twitch. I'm verified on Twitch. I'm a streamer. This is something I enjoy to do. And it goes hand in hand with sports. I am super competitive. So when I'm not playing baseball and competing, I need to find that itch, right? Like I need to find, and for video games, I can get on here and relieve some stress and compete with my buddies. And then I find out that Web3 and the metaverse is coming about. And I'm like, what is this? You can play video games and earn real money, right? So in the past, our parents have always told us, hey, video games, it's a waste of time. You're never going to get anywhere with this. And that may be part of that may be true, but now we have an opportunity to play video games and waste time, but while we're wasting time, we can make real money. Yeah, I'm in. Where do I start? With NFTs. Okay, what's an NFT? So now I go down the rabbit hole. I'm trying to figure out how to acquire NFT, where, what it's all about. And that essentially what I've learned is going to be my token into the metaverse. So I've got some, Akil, we're about a month and a half ago, I've got some supplemental income from some gigs, some speaking engagements. I talked to my wife and I'm like, hey, can I take X amount of money? It's not going to affect us. Can I get into this NFT?
Ask permission always.
Always, right? And please, if you're listening to this, I always say it's very volatile. This is only if you're in a position to make, so don't let me persuade you into buying anything. That's not what this is for. Back to my point. I got some supplemental income and I dive in. I go to the NFT Instagram page. I'm like, okay, who's got some cool pictures, or who's got a cool roadmap that I want to get into? Oh, you got a couple athletes that I want to invest in. Oh, a rapper, I like his music. Let's see what he's got going on. Well, Akil, I figured out real quick that a lot of these are scams. A lot of these are rug pulls. I didn't do enough research and surround myself with people who knew what they were doing before getting in. And I learned real quick and kind of just was starting to write it off as, I'm not smart enough or educated enough to be in this. I'm just losing money. Well, around that time, early December, Jeremy, who is one of the directors of Microsoft, was doing a Twitter space. I don't know who this man is. I've never heard of him. I'm just about done with NFTs because I'm losing money. And he's talking about expansion punks, right? So I've seen the original crypto punks where they're going for a minimum of $300,000 up to $1 million being sold. And I'm listening to him talk about and give credit to the crypto punks for what they do. And then he goes into the story about how his daughters kind of want to get into it and want to see themselves in the project. And they can't find a girl who's wearing a hoodie or a cowboy hat, or, there's no non-binaries. And again, to my Christian base, I love and respect anyone for their sexuality, whatever it is. I want everyone to feel included. So he said, I wanted to make a expansion on the original punks that is more inclusive and diverse. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. This is something that I may be interested in. So they had minted out already, and I bought at the mint price on the floor. And I just waited a few days, continue to educate myself on these people and who they are. I go into their Discord chat and everyone is just so loving and awesome, right? No one knows who I am. I'm just watching these people engage with each other. And I'm like, wow, these are the people I want to surround myself with in real life. And all the other NFT projects, I didn't even really post in them because it was all what looked like immature kids saying, raise the floor, like, what are we doing? And in this NFT community, it was just more of getting to know each other. And I'm like, I like this. So then I text my buddy Lance McCullers and I'm like, hey, I think we found a project that not only we can be a part of, but we can promote. And he's like, all right, let me buy a couple. And so he buys a couple. And next thing you know, I'm watching this continue to grow and grow. And my buddy Paul George, who I game with, he's getting an NFT. I'm like, hey Paul, this may be something that you might be interested in. And he goes and buys 4. And next thing you know, we've got close to 30 professional athletes who have invested their own money into this project, not only because of what it stands on, but it is safe for us to promote, right? As a professional athlete, we have to. And I hope everyone in general has this mindset, but we have to be aware of what we're promoting, who's the developer, who's behind it, what kind of people are these people? Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And so here we are. Expansion punks is a is my one and only project that I'm promoting. I'm committed to on my own dollar. A lot of these projects are funded, marketed by the community DAO, and then they make one post for 100,000 and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. And people are just like, yo, I got in this community because my favorite influencer, my favorite athlete promoted this. Where are they? Yeah. And it's like, it's not necessarily their fault because the developers are paying them. They don't know what it is, but I don't want to be that person who's going to promote something, especially with the reputation that I uphold, and then deuce out. So that is how I found Expansion Punks.
I always tell folks, folks, there are certain members of different communities that say, they're like, you ask too many hard questions. I said, I don't ask anything that I wouldn't ask of myself. I hold myself to a higher standard.
Got to.
That's it.
Got to.
And for you guys, especially for you being professionals, it's quite easy for people to get tricked and caught up in hype because of who's around you. And so sometimes, and that's also how a lot of professional athletes lose a ton of money.
100%.
They go broke, listen to their best friend who's not that smart.
Listen, 80% of professional baseball players by the age of 40 are either broke or divorced. This is a real number that is unacceptable. That is a large number. It's a lot. And it's sad. It's because they think that baseball is going to be forever. I'm going to make millions of dollars. I'm never going to get hurt, and I'm going to ride into the sunset and everything's going to be perfect. Wrong. You're wrong. Okay. So why don't you get ahead of it now? Hey, take care of your marriage. I don't care if you're a professional athlete and how much your money, you take care of your marriage. You made that commitment, take care of it. B, make sure you grow your platform. You leverage your platform. You see how people are going about your business in other professions. You network with those people. So when it's time to make that transition, you have built relationships that are going to help you in your life and to give you a quality life moving forward, a life that you'll be proud to lead. But most athletes, they don't, once they're done, they tuck their head in between their legs and their life is gone because they've put all their self-worth into what they do and not who they are. And it's unfortunate. So I am a big advocate, especially for minor league baseball players, to maximize your platform, to leverage it. Please just network. It doesn't mean that you have a plan B and a plan C that you have to put 100% effort into. It's just being smart, knowing that, hey, if 80% of us is going to be broke and divorced by the age of 40, recognize that, do something about it now. So you're not one of that statistic. And so Akil, I get fired up, but I have to be passionate about it, because if I don't, it's not going to resonate with someone.
Absolutely. I think that I've seen a lot of it's always a funny story, but I actually had a friend, former NFL player. He was on my couch for a little bit, not too long, but he was on my couch. And I always tell people, we were like, what happened? I go, look, it wasn't like he was poor. It was just that he was overstretched. He's got, the house, the ex-wife and the kids and the cars and the mom and dad and cousins and sisters and siblings. Before you look up, it's, oh my goodness, I'm taking care of or helping support, 7 or 8 people. And that's before you even get to your kids yourself. So there is a lot of people depending on very 1 or 2 people that are actually bringing in the majority of the income. So it's very important that, like you said, you're like, set yourself up now, because in the future, you and your bride are going to want to do some things like not work and go on vacation.
No, exactly. And, to your buddy living on your couch, that's happening more times than not. And a lot of the times egos get in the way of professional athletes of trying to better themselves and educate themselves in other careers, because they're the man, right? Everyone has put us on a pedestal. But you know what? Once it's over with, Akil, the day you are done playing, You are no longer on that pedestal. You are unless you're 1%, right? You're a Hall of Famer. You have to wait in line like everyone else. And that's the reality of it.
Touche. Well, Brett, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Obviously, you've given up some of your time just to talk with me today, and I'm very appreciative. But I did have one more kind of question for you.
Yes.
Are you into cryptocurrencies directly, or just?
Yeah. So back in May, I got into Ethereum, and I'm glad I did because it allowed me to get into the NFT world super quickly. I already had that money in my wallet. I don't want to, I'm not super educated enough to talk about it, but I do have a little bit of crypto in my wallet that I'm just kind of keeping there for a long-term investment. With that being said, if you are very educated, I would love to talk about and pick your brain off Zoom. And if you're willing, because I'm constantly always trying to just gain knowledge.
Brett, you have no idea how happy I am, because when you were talking about the metaverse earlier, so this is one of the reasons why we call the big three crypto culture competition, because normally the first two people are really easy to talk to about. The third one, they're like, man, I got some Ethereum, I got some Bitcoin, maybe I got some Litecoin, maybe I got some BNB. At the end of the day, there are other projects out there that are just so revolutionary. And the fact that you want to be part of the metaverse tells me that you need to start looking into something called MVI. It is called the Metaverse Index.
Okay.
And if you go to Index Scoop, I'll send you the link to Index Scoop for everyone watching. Check out Index Scoop. It is a metaverse. They have a metaverse index in there, and you could actually basically put in to almost all the metaverse things from some of the top investors in the world and see what the things they're looking at. And for me, that's where I noticed there was Illuvium, wax, sand, mana. I was like, oh, wow. These were the small ones that nobody was looking at a year ago. Now they're just blowing up. So when you look at, especially for you as a gamer, make sure you check out Illuvium. I think it's Gods Unchained.
Okay.
That game, Gods Unchained, it isn't out yet, but I think that token's going for like $1,100. When we started researching it back in July, I think it was at $300. Wow,
that's awesome, and it's very interesting to me. You know, people just hear a number and then they say, "Oh, it's too late," right? But like, if none of this applies to you, at least just educate yourself a little bit. So when a couple of years from now, if someone approaches you, you have knowledge and information to be like, oh no, you know, it's too volatile, or I understand it, but I don't want to get it, as opposed to just shutting it down completely and be like, no, that's a scam, right? It's just, so again, Akil, I want to gain all this.
Yeah. We'll be happy to do that. But you know what, so we're on the mindful of the time.
Yes.
If you are a crypto guy and you know a couple of cryptos, what would be the 3 cryptos that you personally like? And before anyone goes any further, this is not financial advice.
Yeah.
Him personally, things that he might like.
So I've read a lot about Bitcoin, right? The most important, or the biggest one, I guess, and seeing its growth since 2012, which is insane. So if I'm at a place where I would invest into that. Ethereum I already have. And then again, those are the 2 that I only know of. And then NFTs. So with that being said, I don't have a third. You and I are going to talk off Zoom. I'm going to get my third one.
Well, I'll tell you 3 that I'm really excited about.
Okay.
I do like Bitcoin. I do like Ethereum because those are long-term strategic plays.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of my friend called Omi. Omi Coin is through the VV network. Check out the VV app if you want, because the VV app actually has NFTs on it, and they're kind of cool, like Captain America. But then other ones, you know, are obviously Solana, Cardano, and XRP. XRP is one of those cryptos that could potentially make a huge comeback. And if not XRP, look into the XRP family like XLM because it has cheap gas fees and it's very fast to exchange. So it's quicker on the network. So you can send your money real fast and for real cheap. And then you can convert it back over to something else. But these are not financial advices. This is just me having a conversation. And Brett, with that being said, are there any closing remarks that you would have for the viewers and the listeners?
Oh, you know what, Akil, thank you for having me on here. Again, I'm super passionate about the things I've spoken about today. Regardless if you don't agree with them or not, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of listen to hear about who I am as a person to my core. So thanks for having me. Everyone who took the time to listen, God bless you. I appreciate you and take care.
Walk-off home run right there. I'm just seeing it in my head. Hey, and if someone hasn't told you they love you today, remember that I just did.